Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Polish New Deal is a special programme prepared by the ruling Law and Justice Party aimed at reconstructing and developing the Polish economy after the coronavirus pandemic. The details of the programme will be presented next Saturday. The programme has 10 main headings, including a health plan, fair work, decent pay, a decade of development, placing the family and home at the centre of life, Poland, our land, clean energy, clean air, Cyber Poland 2025, and the golden autumn of life. According to as yet unconfirmed information, the programme may include proposals for a significant increase in the tax-free allowances. Certain pensioners would also be exempt from having to pay tax. After applying these measures, some could be up to 425 zloty per month better off. The leader of the Law and Justice Party and Deputy Prime Minister Jarosław Kaczyński emphasised that the New Deal plan is a great chance for the country and for many Polish families. The details of the programme will be presented next Saturday. More than 1,000 people gathered in Clapham Common in London to mark the killing of a 33-year-old woman, Sarah Everett, after the police officer charged with her murder appeared in court on March the 13th. 4 people have been arrested for public order offences and breaches of the health protection regulations.
According to Helen Ball, Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner, 4 people were arrested for public order offences and breaches of the health protection regulations during a vigil for Sarah Everett in southwest London.
May I start by extending my deepest condolences to the family and friends of Sarah Everett. All of us in the Metropolitan Police are still extremely shocked and saddened by the tragic circumstances of her disappearance and her death. Earlier tonight, I attended a candlelit vigil here at Scotland Yard with the Commissioner, and I know that up and down the nation, thousands of people have held similar vigils in Sarah's name. I recognise that the decision by the organisers to cancel the Reclaim These Streets vigil in Clapham Common today was deeply unwelcome news. Even so, given the ever-present threat of COVID-19, this was the right decision to make. Today, for over 6 hours, hundreds of people came to lay flowers and pay their respects at Clapham Common in a safe and lawful way. Around 6 p.m, more people began to gather, close to the bandstand within the Common. Some started to make speeches from the bandstand. These speeches then attracted more people to gather closer together. At this point, officers on the ground were faced with a very difficult decision. Hundreds of people were tightly packed together, posing a very real risk of easily transmitting COVID-19. Police must act for people's safety. This is the only responsible thing to do. The pandemic is not over, and gatherings of hundreds of people from right across London and beyond are still not safe.
Police in London clashed with mourners and protesters.
I think any policing of large events is difficult at the best of times, but we're in the middle of a pandemic with all of the rules that flow from that. And of course, last night, people were very, very upset. There was a great deal of emotion, completely understandably. The police, being as they are operationally independent, will be having to explain that to the Home Secretary in their report.
Campaign groups had wanted to organize a formal vigil, but London's Metropolitan Police said people should not gather due to coronavirus restrictions. Sarah Everett's disappearance as she walked home on the evening of March 3rd has led to a wave of accounts from women about the dangers of walking streets alone at night and dismay at the failure of the police and wider society to tackle this.
The issue of street harassment, the issue of sexual violence, the issue of domestic violence and all violence against women and girls, we know what the problems are. The Home Secretary has known for many years, the Minister has known for many years, and it's just... The reality is that last year, 24% fewer rape convictions occurred. Domestic homicide is at an all-time high. We don't need a survey, we can take action. We can have policy, both through the domestic abuse bill and also through the bill that is coming before Parliament on Monday. We can change laws that mean that people actually get good sentences for rape, let alone sentenced at all, that street harassment could be a crime because it's not illegal to harass women on the street currently. We don't need a review We need action.
London Mayor Sadiq Khan, who is responsible for policing in the city, said the officer's response was at times neither appropriate or proportionate, and added that he was seeking an urgent explanation from Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick.
On Monday, we will again be asking the government to look at things like misogyny as a hate crime, street harassment as a crime, and increasing the tariffs on rape. I'm afraid to say the bill that is before us on Monday, in the explanatory notes which I read on Monday, there is more mentions of statues than there is of women. 10 years for doing something to a statue. What about women?
Labour Party leader Keir Starmer called the scenes deeply disturbing, and Conservative Interior Minister Priti Patel said she too wanted answers from police about upsetting images.
On Saturday, hundreds of protesters took to the streets across the United States to call for police reforms and justice for Breonna Taylor, a year after her death. Taylor was mistakenly shot and killed by police during a raid at her home in Louisville, Kentucky on March 13, 2020. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered for a rally and march in Louisville, Kentucky on Saturday to mark the one-year anniversary of the killing of Breonna Taylor. Her death, along with the killing of George Floyd in Minnesota last year, sparked global protests against police brutality and racism. Protesters marched through downtown holding signs of Taylor's face, chanting, "Black Lives Matter" and "No justice, no peace." Taylor, an Afro-American 26-year-old emergency medical technician and aspiring nurse, was shot 6 times during a botched police raid of her Louisville home. A grand jury in September recommended no homicide charges against the 3 white officers in the case. One, Brett Hankison, was charged with wanton endangerment, but not murder. During Saturday's rally in Louisville, speakers called for justice for Taylor and reforms to the criminal justice system. The 26-year-old woman's mother, Tamika Palmer, led a march in Louisville, Kentucky with the slogan, "Justice for Breonna Taylor," which drew hundreds of people to Jefferson Square, where for months a memorial in honour of Taylor has stood with a colourful drawing of her face, as well as flowers and messages in her honour. Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher said the city has made significant reforms, but that there was still a good deal of work ahead. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night.